Communities were concerned after the summer, this General Assembly passed a farm bill. And that farm bill included language that would allow permitting for biodigesters in the local counties, particularly the ones who had large hog farms. The problem that had community members concerned was that the first 4 permits were individual permits, and a general permit, which is what the Farm Bill allows, would be creating a situation where one size fits all. And obviously, each farm is different in size, in production, in the way that they individually monitor their production process. It became clear that there were concerns based on past experience that, number one, DEQ would not be inclusive of communities as they were deliberating what this general permit would look like. And in addition, because in the past DEQ has not required air monitoring or water monitoring of these facilities, that there would not be any inclusion of those kinds of requirements in the general permit. And what communities have consistently heard from DEQ is that they don't have the authority to do the types of things that communities are asking for. For example, when a permit is issued by DEQ in one of these communities, they only look at the emissions from that particular facility. They do not consider the emissions from any other facility in that area. A good example of that would be the Align RNG biogas site that's set up on the border of Sampson and Duplin counties. Although there are a number of other sources of emissions around where that facility will be built, the only consideration that was given in that permit was to the actual emissions from that facility. No consideration was given to the traffic on Highway 24, which is a major route between the counties as well as major highway. And we, the community, are very concerned that there should be consideration of cumulative impacts and not just what's coming off of that one facility. The state or DEQ has tried to do the right thing and put some controls in place. The legislature will come back and pass a law that prevents, for example, with the nuisance lawsuits that were filed against Smithfield. Shortly after those nuisance lawsuits were filed and the defendants were losing, the state put into place guidelines that basically prevents anyone from filing a nuisance lawsuit in the future. So you've got a situation where literally the rights of citizens are being taken away by the legislature to support or protect the ag industry in the state. Very few people think about the fact that there is actually environmental justice happening in rural parts of the country where your food comes from, where farm workers are being inundated every day, where folks like me who don't necessarily live next to a hog farm, but we're suffering some of the same kind of impacts as folks who are living closer to the hog farms. It's just very frustrating, and everywhere I go I'm talking about the frustration that we feel from a rural perspective. A lot of the conversation is around urban and suburban, but there's very little conversation around what's happening in rural areas.